fully conscious? Because at this point, I feel like I could be a better man than you. As a man, you're supposed to be working more hard and getting more money to spoil me and protect me.
Yeah, that's fair. But as a woman, I feel like...
Are you in women business? As a grown man?
I thought we was giving each other advice.
Not a grown-ass man in women business, though. That's given very much sassy. As a man, you're supposed to be getting more money. As a man, you're supposed to be buying me a house. As a man, you're supposed to put me above your mother. As a man, f them kids, me only. You bump your head? You fully conscious? Because at this point, I feel like I could be a better man than you.
Part 2. So if you cannot take it, don't dish it. This video gave me so many palpitations that I didn't know what to do with myself. How in the hell you gonna sit up there and you can criticize and critique this man on what he says about you, but you want to say everything about him? You want to criticize what he does or does not do, and yet he says the same thing about you, and all of a sudden he's getting sassy because he's in a woman's business? No, he ain't in a woman's business. He in your business. And I hope to all the 15 levels of hell that this man leaves that woman. Because although there's only one thing that I agree that she said, and y'all may get mad at me for it, which is fuck them kids. I do have a fuck them kids mentality when it comes to maintaining the relationship between me and my wife. I've always had that. I was the type of person that when my kids were small, I would drive from Florida. When I lived in Florida, I would drive from Florida to Georgia, drop them jokers off with the grandparents, and then me and her, we went on vacation. The kids weren't going. They were too young to appreciate that vacation. Plus, we needed some time ourselves. I always made sure that we went on more vacations as a husband and wife than we went on vacations as a family. There's too many of y'all who's like, no, we got to go. If we're going to go on vacation, we got to take the kids. Man, my kids were so small, they wouldn't appreciate some of the places that we went. You think my daughter remembers anything about Europe? No, she doesn't. You think my kids, when they were smaller, they remember anything about any of the places that we went to up in the mountains or out to the lakes and to the beaches? No, they don't remember any of those things. And my oldest barely remembers a few things. So, no, forget them kids when it comes to that. But of course, we sacrifice as parents in order to make sure that our kids are taken care of. We sacrifice as parents to make sure that our kids get experiences out there with different cultures and different places. So yes, they get to go places, but the kids never come before me and my wife. Even as a blended family right now, my kids, my wife's kids, does not come before me and her. And our kids are adults, so they got all kinds of opinions. But at the end of the day, their opinions don't matter as much as they think they do. And they all know it. But the other part of this woman's argument is something that I cannot stand. As a man, he's supposed to be making more money so she can have a better house. As a man, he's supposed to be making more money so that she can have a better lifestyle. As a man, he's supposed to be making more money so that she can go shopping. She can go do all the things that she wants to do. At no point did that young lady say that as a team, we should be looking to make more money so that we can build our retirement, so that we can travel more, so that we can buy a house, so that there was no we in all of that. This was just pure selfishness. And if you find yourself in a situation with a male or a female who are selfish to this degree, you need to leave that person alone, because that person does not have your best interests at heart. They only have their own best interests at heart. And then when that person cannot be criticized, that is the antithesis of a narcissistic person. Because a narcissistic person is only concerned with themselves. Many people don't even know where the term narcissism comes from, and they have the wrong idea about it. The story of Narcissus is an old, I think it's a Greek story. It's either a Greek or a British story. It's one of them. But anyway, basically the story is that Narcissus would go to this lake every day, and he would look at himself in the reflection of the lake. He was a very handsome man. The little nymphs and fairies that was in the forest would always look behind the trees and just marvel at Narcissus' beauty, but he never paid them any attention. And then one time, Narcissus was leaning too far over into the lake and fell in the lake and drowned. And Narcissus died. So then one day, the lady of the lake, she came up, and because she couldn't find Narcissus. And so the nymph said, oh, how wonderful it must have been for you to every day be able to gaze into the beauty of Narcissus. And the lady of the lake said, I never noticed that he was beautiful. I would see my own beauty in the reflection of his eyes, and I marveled at my own beauty. And on that spot, a flower grew, and that flower became known something like Narcissus something. And that is the actual story of Narcissus. The story of Narcissus in the narcissist is a person who is so enveloped within themselves that they do not recognize anything else around them. They are selfish, and they are only concerned with themselves and their own beauty, their own life. The lady of the lake was narcissistic. Narcissus was narcissistic. And that is where we get the term narcissism. So it's merely a person, not who's trying to manipulate you, not who's trying to hurt you, but just a person who doesn't really consider you, but only considers themselves. Now, out of that, you can get a manipulative person. Out of that, you can get an abusive person. You can get many other symptoms out of a person who is narcissistic. But narcissism is just, I'm focused just on me. So let's make sure we understand it correctly. But this woman is truly a narcissist because she's only concerned about herself. I do agree with she was saying she should be number one, even before your mother. I know that's going to hurt. I know a lot of y'all going to disagree with that. My mother will always be there for me. No, she won't. You say that, but she won't. And then you could have that mother who doesn't really consider herself with you. She could be so attention starved that she wants all the attention for herself. I've seen situations that are like that, where the mother or the father are so concerned with them getting the attention of all the children and grandchildren, the friends, and even that person, and everything is about them. And they treat people improperly because they are simply focused on themselves. Now, yes, there will always be your mom. There will always be your dad. My mother will always be my mother. But there are times when my mom is really just concerned about herself. And, well, let me rephrase. Back in the day, there used to be times when my mother was only concerned about herself. Where my mother thought that I should do things for her before I do things for my family. And I had to set Mary Alice down back in the, mid-90s. And I had to let Mary Alice know that she will never disrespect my wife. She will never disrespect my children. She will never disrespect me. She will never disrespect my house. Now, I will give her all the respect of being my mother, but when you in my house, you will recognize whose house you in. I am not a child. I am still your child, but I am not a child. And you need to understand this, Mary Alice. Because if you want to grow old and have your grandkids around you, you want to grow old and you want to have your son around you, you better recognize that I am now an adult. I am now grown. And so your wishes, your desires, your demands do not come before my wife or my children or my house. So you better get yourself in line, Mary Alice. Otherwise, you are not going to have that fulfillment of having me and your grandkids. My brother and my sister, they may give in to your bullshit, but not this guy. And even with my kids, I had to let them jokers know, you will never come before your mom. You will never. When she was my wife, you would never come before her. Y'all, that's not going to happen. You can give that up. And I am never going to injure my own self in order to make sure that y'all are taken care of to the degree where I'm homeless. Now, I'll help you. I'll help you as much as I possibly can. But I'm only going to help you to the length that I'm able to help you. Beyond that, no. You got to get your shit together. Just like I tell my kids, you go to jail. I'm not taking a rap for you. You got to deal with that yourself. So your best bet is not go to jail. And if you do something heinous, I'm not getting you out. It's not going to happen. Traffic violations, those kind of things, sure. You murder somebody, you essay somebody, nah. You steal? Nah. Can't help you, that partner. You got to deal with the situation. I'll help you with a lawyer. You got to deal with the situation. So I can't deal with that type of mentality that young lady displayed. And hopefully if you're in that situation, you need to run. That young man needs to run. I know I went off on a tangent because that kind of stuff just bothers the hell out of me. But hey, what do you guys think? And always remember, do you put everybody else before your spouse? Because if you do, you're going to end up without a spouse and grow old by yourself. So always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable.